Square. Hello, it is 1 p.m. in Cairo. It is 6 a.m. at Cape Canaveral. I'm Monita, Rajpal. You're watching CNN, the world's news leader. This is World One, live from London. In the last few minutes, a deadline set by the Arab League for Syria to allow observers into the country has expired. The League has said if Syria refuses, member countries will vote this Saturday on imposing sanctions. Opposition group says 35 people were killed on Thursday. Well, CNN's Nema El-Bagir joins us now for more on this. So we talk about sanctions. This deadline has just expired now. It's what 2 minutes into it. What could these sanctions mean, and what kind of impact will it actually have on the Syrian people?
Well, the Arab League has been burnt pretty badly by Syria before. They reneged on the November the 2nd deal, so this time there's a lot of pressure.
Emma, thank you very much for that. Emma El-Bagir there here in London. Well, anti-government groups are calling them last chance protests after nearly a week of demonstrations and violence on the streets of Egypt. Activists are promising to crank up their action to another level. They are demanding an immediate transition of power from the military to civilians, a call now echoed by the White House. A military spokesman said Thursday a new prime minister was being appointed, but 81-year-old Kamal Ganzouri isn't everyone's first choice. He served as prime minister in the 1990s when Hosni Mubarak was president. Cairo has been the flashpoint for the demonstrations since Saturday. There was relative calm on the square early this Friday. Well, let's get the very latest now and go to CNN's Ivan Watson, who's in the Egyptian capital. Ivan, how are things looking there? We understand Friday prayers are either underway or have just concluded.
Well, I'm having a little trouble hearing you, Monita, but we're here in Tahrir Square where they just held Friday prayers.
Tell us a little bit more about this man that has been now installed as this interim prime minister. Many who are criticizing, saying that he's actually too old now to take over this country, especially at a time when we're seeing so many protests as part of this new generation.
Yeah, and again, I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you, but the new the announcement that we got from a spokesman from the Supreme Council.
Yeah, no easy answers there. All right, Ivan, thank you for that. Ivan Watson there in Tahrir Square. We want to see what newspapers around the world are saying about this. In Canada, the Globe and Mail has this headline: a delicate game for Egypt. The comment piece says unfulfilled expectations, political and economic, are the order of the day, with few sustainable solutions in sight and Western support vacuous at best. The headline in The Australian is Egypt's military to outlast transition. The opinion piece goes on to say this time the protesters have Egypt's transitional rulers in their sights, but even if they can force the military back to the barracks, removing its influence from Egypt's political transition is likely to be more difficult than removing Mubarak. And finally, the International Herald Tribune has an opinion piece with this headline: Egypt's revolution. It says more than 100,000 Egyptians did not risk their lives in Tahrir Square last winter just to see another military-backed tyranny. Egyptians are back in Tahrir Square because they want real democracy. They are entitled to nothing less. We're watching World One, live from London, how an attack on a few people became an assault on an entire industry. We go live to Kenya to see how militants have jeopardized the economy by targeting tourists. Countries, one enemy. Kenyan and Somali troops joined forces to launch air and ground attacks on bases in Somalia they say were used by the militant group Al-Shabaab. Military officials say a number of insurgents were killed. Kenya sent troops into Somalia in October to pursue fighters from Al-Shabaab, a group that has ties to Al-Qaeda. It's been blamed for a string of attacks on Kenyan security forces and tourists. Well, the recent attacks on tourists have hit Kenya's economy hard, and safety fears are choking off the flow of visitors. The island of Lamu is a World Heritage Site and one of Kenya's major tourist resorts. And David McKenzie is there and has more now on the growing concerns amongst tourists there and the tourism economy. David.
Well, that's right. This Lamu, an island, actually a series of islands, really is one of the major tourist destinations in Kenya.
Mackenzie, thank you so much. They are the latest victims of a bloody nightmare. 26 men murdered, their bodies dumped in the heart of Mexico's second largest city, Guadalajara. At least 43,000 people have died since Mexico declared its war on drugs 4 years ago. And as Rafael Romo reports, it's a grim reminder that Mexico has a long way to go in its grisly battle against the cartels.
Bodies were found inside this white van in a well-traveled avenue in Guadalajara.
Welcome back. You are watching World One. Here are some of the stories that we're we're talking about. It's almost that time of year, so do you dream of a white Christmas, or do you dream of a longer version of I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas? Well, Lady Gaga had that dream, and she made it a reality. The pop star is releasing a new version of the Christmas classic on her 4-track album, A Very Gaga Holiday. But she thought the original song was a little too short, so she added a verse of her own, as only Lady Gaga could. Now imagine this. A text arrives, and the recipient rolls his eyes and tells his friends, "Oh no, it's my girlfriend again." Believe it or not, some men really crave that experience. Enter fakegirlfriend.com. The website lets users enter their mobile phone numbers and receive girlfriend-esque texts like, "Why don't you leave the boys and come hang out with me?" The site's slogan is fakegirlfriend.com because you don't want to look lame. I think if you have that, you already do. Now, I am an arrogant, incompetent fool. Not the sort of tweet you'd expect from a mayor who's up for re-election, and there's a reason for that. A 17-year-old hijacked Wisconsin mayor Bob Ryan's name and pretended to be him. The teenager also rerouted online traffic from the mayor's campaign website to his own, saying he himself planned to run for office. Well, Mayor Ryan is under fire for passing out drunk in a tavern and getting into a fight. Enough said. Well, bushfires and floods are hitting both of Australia's coasts. Meteorologist Jennifer Delgado is at the International World Weather Centre with details on that. Jen?
That's right. Tale of two stories. We're dealing with the fires as well as the rain that's been
Monita,
back over to you.
All right. Jen, thank you so much for that. You're watching World One live from London. You've seen the video from Syria showing massive protests. The Syrian government is denying a deadly crackdown on demonstrators. Reporter Jonathan Miller is in Damascus, and his movements have been restricted by the government, but he asked Syria's deputy foreign minister about the denial. The leaders of the Eurozone's 3 biggest economies called for a closer fiscal union on Thursday, but today, markets still aren't reassured. Chancellor Angela Merkel and President Nicolas Sarkozy met Italy's new Prime Minister Mario Monti to try to map a way out of the Eurozone's debt crisis. They agreed a long-term solution was needed, but came up short in finding one. And Nina dos Santos joins us now here in the studio. Nina, we were looking at the markets right now, and it just seems, again, that one thing that keeps coming up is there's a need for confidence and clarity, and they're not getting that.
No, and it also seems as though each time these European leaders open their mouths, the markets tank again, because the reality is that their toolbox, it seems, is wearing pretty thin. They even can't agree on those 2 issues that economists generally say will be the only things.
They're regretting that now. All right, Nina, thank you very much. You're watching World One live from London. Exits in the ATP tennis finals. Don Riddell joins us now with more details on that. I'm sad.
Are you?
A little bit.
Look away for the next 90 seconds. Thanks very much. Rafael Nadal is one of the top players in favour of a shorter tennis season. Later on, Monita.
All right, Don, thank you very much. You are watching World One live from London, finding the answer to an age-old question. You are watching World One live from London. We are approaching, it's almost 10 minutes to 7, actually it is 10 minutes to 7 right now in New York, almost 1 p.m. in Berlin, and it's almost 9 p.m. in Tokyo. Well, NASA scientists are turning their curiosity toward Mars, literally. Curiosity is the name of the brand new space rover NASA is launching this Saturday. The unmanned vehicle cost $2.5 billion and is described as a dream machine by the space agency. CNN's John Zarella, who joins us now live from the Kennedy Space Center. Is there?
Monita, let's see. If I had to guess, I'd say probably not anymore. There probably used to be. But, you know, I'm inside NASA's Vehicle Assembly Building, and, you know, this is the 4th largest building in the world by volume. And
yeah, fingers crossed there, John. Thank you so much. John Zarella there at the Kennedy Space Center. Now that the Thanksgiving holiday is over in the United States, time to shop. This was the famous Macy's store in New York, which opened.
This is occupied Best Buy over here.
Better them than me. Some analysts say today could be the biggest shopping day in history. You're watching World One live from London. I'm Monita Rajpal. Thank you for joining us. Coming up next, a special program, CNN Heroes. Where are they now?